Good Thursday morning, everybody, from the East Coast to the West Coast. Welcome to the second of three sessions of the Swarm Mastermind. Yesterday, you had the pleasure of touching base with Wyatt as he had a tremendous session about AI. We had a tremendous turnout. Thank you, everybody who showed up for that. And hopefully, we get just as big as a crowd today. I do want to thank Lily, who's on the controls today. Give a big applause to Lily. Woo! That's when everybody was supposed to come in on that. But we're going to do things a little bit different yesterday. Wyatt is huge on the slides. When I do presentations, slides get me all discombobulated. So what I like to do, and I'll repeat this throughout the session, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Lily is going to also be putting the resources to what we're talking about in the chat. So everything that we talk about, mostly everything, will be in the chat as we go, okay? If you want a transcript of this session, we're going to have that available as well. Which reminds me, yesterday's session with Wyatt is already up on the Swarm YouTube channel. Is that right, Lily?
Yep.
Yep. So that's already available for everybody to check out. So if you have any questions regarding that, feel free to chime in on that as well. Wyatt is literally behind the scenes right now and just kind of putting the pressure on me to come through for you guys today. So we'll do that. And then at the end of the session, not only we're going to leave some contact information for myself if you have any questions regarding today's topic, which is digital marketing, but Lily's email will be there in it as well. Okay. So first things first, why are you listening to me? Why are you listening to the guy with the blue Swarm shirt on today? So I don't like to brag about myself, but here I go. I do actually have a marketing degree. I do. I'm a CMO with Swarm. I've been working as a CMO with White for the last couple of years. Marketing degree from the University of Arizona. I've actually been invited the last couple of years to speak to a few marketing classes there, from the 400 level down to introductory marketing. So it's a huge honor for me to kind of give back to my alum in that capacity. So I've done that the last couple of years. I am a published author, Amazon bestseller. Lily's putting that link into there right now. I've talked about my journey as a solopreneur and how I moved my way up and how Wyatt and I kind of merged our companies together in that book. And I also have a little Saturday gig, a little radio show that I do here in Tucson. It's a live radio show. I don't record it. We take phone calls, and Lily's putting that in there. I would recommend this, even though the radio show is not pest control specific. This most recent show we did this Saturday was about regional and national companies coming into your area and what you got to do to keep up with them. So I think it could be related tremendously to the pest control industry. Okay. So those are some of the reasons why you should be listening to me and why you should be tuning in right now. Again, oh man, the Sun Devils. I love it. Let's make this interactive. You know, if you have any comments, any questions, chime in. Lily would shout them out. I do see the chat as well. Whenever we do talk about digital marketing specifically, I always want to start by saying a couple things, right? Whether it's, doing it in-house or whether you have an agency that you're working with, right? They can execute this strategy to a T. But one of the biggest problems that we always see is that maybe the communication or the strategy or the execution, a lot of these stats that I'm going to be pointing out later to you guys, that's not communicated to the rest of the team, right? When you guys are paying for the resources and the time and the energy and the ad spend to execute a perfectly executed or put together strategy, are you sending the right tech out there to maybe upsell the service? Okay. Do the people calling or the people answering your phone calls as a result of your Google ads or your Facebook ads, do they even know that you have ads running? Okay. So when we talk today about your digital marketing strategy throughout this discussion, I'm going to send reminders or talk about reminders to you about who should be knowing about, the execution of your strategy. Your team should really know how much time and resources and ad spend that you're putting into this. So when they have their assignment and their routes and they see some of the new clients coming in as a result of your of this, strategy, an extra emphasis should be really put in place so you have that ability to upsell possibly, right? You see this time and time again where the people just don't know how important this new lead is, right? So communication with your team, they shouldn't just be the people at the C-suite level or the owners or the management that know about this strategy. I believe everybody needs to know why you're doing what you're doing on Facebook, why you're doing this particular ad on Google, or they should know the process, right? So they have more buy-in. Also, a lot of this discussion is always talking about how we could find new customers, new clients, right? But Lily's going to put resources into the chat right now that you cannot forget about the 80-20 rule. The people that are on know right now about the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule states that no matter what business you're in, that 80% of your profits are going to come from 20% of your clients. The word retention should be put in place before any of this execution of a new digital strategy is put into place. You got to take care of the people that are helping you currently pay your bills, right? If you're not worried about retention, or if you're worried about the new customers, new clients, it's a huge, huge mistake that we see many small businesses are always, doing, is they're not worried about that 20% of their clients. It doesn't matter what business you're in, that are bringing about 80% of your profits, okay? So keep that in mind as we go through this. And when we think about digital marketing, depending on who may be speaking, you could think of it like as a 3 or 4 peg type of, or 3 or 4 layers that make up the complete digital marketing strategy, right? I like to just kind of put it just into 3, that being your website SEO as 1, your Google and your Google Ads as 2, and your social media strategy as 3. To fully execute a complete strategy, but there are going to be some caveats that we'll talk about later. You got to take those 3, areas in consideration, and each one of those areas need a consistent branding message, a consistent offers, and consistent slogans. All too often, we see small businesses or pest control companies that have just mixed up messages across these 3 areas. Their website has one logo, but their Facebook has an outdated logo. Google doesn't have any kind of presence on there. So collectively, you're kind of fighting against yourself, okay? Just as a side note, for the next couple minutes, I want you guys to think, if there's been a potential new customer out there with all the noise that's out there, and I want you guys to put this into the chat, is how many times do you think before somebody sees your brand name or hears the name of your pest control company before they understand who you are? So put that in the chat right now and let me know your guesses. How many times someone needs to see you if they've never seen you before online before they understand? So we got 7. Back in when I graduated from the U of A, that was the correct answer. It was 7 impressions, but it's a little bit higher now. Okay, so continue to put your guesses in the chat right now. So I'm going to try to use an analogy here to describe 12. We're almost there, a little bit higher. I'm going to use an analogy that I hope makes sense to you guys. When you think about your website and your SEO, right? Think about it as, you're a teenager, you got a new car, and you want to take, this girl that you've had a crush on for years out on the first date. And you pick her up in this car. And this is a true story. My first car was a 72 Corolla hatchback. It looked great, had great tires, great rims. You could hear it because they had these big, stupid speakers in the back. But once I went and picked up the prettiest girl I knew, and she said yes to the date, she liked the car, but my car couldn't go over 40 miles per hour. So that was the only date we went on. Until about a year later, I had a new Thunderbird. Kind of moved up from a 72 to almost a brand new Thunderbird. Looked good, went over 40 miles per hour, so I got the next date, okay? How does this relate to your website and your SEO? Well, if you have a good-looking website, but maybe the page speed is kind of slow. Maybe it takes so long, the content is meh. Maybe you got too full of stock images. It just, it may look good, but it's taken too long for people to flip through it or go through it. That's the SEO part. That's your backlinks. That's, the optimization of your website. You could have a good looking website, but with our attention spans being so short these days, if you're not able to, what if you click on a call to action and it goes nowhere? You know, the car may look good, but what's under the hood is not going to get you anywhere, right? You got to have a good looking website, but it needs to be optimized correctly. All your pages need to be full to be able to load quickly. And I think Lily's going to put a resource into the chat right now to check your web page speed, right? So everything has to work congruently. We've seen a lot of people with great looking websites, but it takes too long to load. Or maybe the images are blurry, or maybe there's something that's just not optimized in the back end of it so that people are going to stay on your website and go through it, right? The two have to work, as a partnership. So when you drive people to your website, that first impression for potential clients is a good one, right? Your website really serves as the foundation for all your digital marketing efforts, whether it's, your efforts in Google or social media. More times than not, you're driving people to your site, maybe to a form or maybe to more information. And if your site is trash, you're ruining, or you're kind of, again, you're fighting against yourself to earn that new customer. We talked a little bit about the responsiveness of your site. Does your site look as good on desktop as it does on mobile? I got a few stats pretty soon that are going to talk about the importance of how important your site needs to be optimized on your mobile devices, right? Is your site easy to navigate? Are there clear calls to action? That's my biggest pet peeve when it comes to websites. Are there clear calls to action? Your website, when people go to there and they're scrolling through it, for lack of a better term, your phone number should be stuck at the top. So when people are scrolling through, that call to action is prominent. You want people to know that you want their business. If you're scrolling through and there's no call to action until you go all the way down to the bottom, right? Then, by that time, you've lost their attention. Okay. Is there a question in there? No? Okay. So the chat is a little bit elongated. So if it takes a little bit for that, just let me know, Lily. Okay. Do you have engaging visuals and content that's relevant to pest control? One thing why this kind of brings up a question for me, I think we heard this last week when people, like, say we have some people listening that are both in pest control and in landscaping, right? Is the content, are you fighting against each other from Google's perspective if you have two different types of content on there? That's one of the latest theories that I've heard, right?
It becomes a tougher challenge, right?
Right. It becomes a tougher challenge. So maybe if you are a pest control and you do have a landscaping, if you put them all together under one website, you have content that's essentially fighting against each other, so to speak, right?
It's more difficult for the FBO team.
Yeah. Some SEO basics for pest control, using the terms like pest control with your city, right? Exterminator near me. Some on-page SEO essentials, optimizing title tags, meta descriptions, headers, keyword-rich content. Admittedly, I'm not the expert in these areas, but if you do have questions, please put them in there, and we have a team here ready to answer some of these specifics on your SEO. Content strategy, blogging topics that address common consumer questions regarding pest control, right? All too often we see, blogs that really aren't relevant, really don't add, relevant content to your industry. Okay. And it's odd, it's really odd how often this happens. But Google wants to see content that's related to your industry. It doesn't want to see, the local holiday events that are coming up. Writing blogs about that's great for maybe the community, but it's not really helping out the presence of your website online at all. In fact, it's kind of being counterproductive. You need content that's related to your industry on your website. Technical SEO. Again, we talked about page speed optimization, mobile friendliness, all these things, collectively. Again, you may have a good looking website, but you're missing the call to actions. You need call to actions throughout your website. The average attention span of humans today, because we're on our mobile devices and all the noise that's always going around, is equivalent to that of a goldfish. I forget how many seconds that is, but that's how quickly you need to make an impression, whether someone's visiting your website or someone's on your social or someone sees a Google ad, right? And it needs to be easy for people to call you, easier for people to go to a form to fill out or to schedule an appointment with you. People make it way too difficult to do so, which is a good transition into the second tier of your digital strategy, which is Google Business Profile. Okay. When you're setting up and optimizing your GBB, you got to ensure that your business details, name, and phone number are all accurate. Your hours of operation are all accurate. Just a couple of weeks ago, we had a client that came in and we wanted to do a meeting and a lunch with him simultaneously, right? So Lily and I look up a near, pizza place near us, and their hours of operation were from 10 to 9 p.m. or whatever it was, right? The client was coming in at 11. So we drive around the corner about 10:20 or so, and right on their door, they didn't open till 11, right? So are Lily and I going to ever go there for pizza again? No. So if your hours of operation, maybe they may mistakenly say, 7 or 8 a.m. or whatever it is, but you don't open till an hour later. If someone calls you when your hours of operation are incorrect on Google, are they ever going to call you again? No, right? Especially with all the holidays coming up, make sure that, you show whether you're open or closed on all the holidays. All these little details add up because, again, our attention spans is like if we cannot grab their attention when they're giving us their attention, when they want to do business with us, it's too easy these days for someone to find the next pest control company, right? All these little details on your Google business profile need to be, straight and concise and accurate. Choosing the right appropriate categories are, pest control service, for example. Reviews, okay? Reviews are huge, okay? One of the first biggest strategies when Wyatt and his team put together Pest Friends was to get to 100 five-star reviews as quickly as possible. Notice that I said 100 five-star reviews, not 100 reviews, maybe 1, 2 stars, whatever. They needed, and their goal was to get 100 five-star reviews as quickly as possible, which reminds me, tomorrow we'll have Greg Weatherly on to talk about how to build up a five-star culture in your organization. Greg only has about 31 experience in the pest control industry. So again, he's probably going to be somebody you want to tune into tomorrow. There's different ways. We actually, I don't know if applause is actually on, but last few weeks ago we met.
They're on.
They're on. So I hope you guys are on. I'm going to give you a huge shout out. I was so impressed with their software. And if you want to get to 5-star reviews or build up your reviews, I should say, and get 5-star reviews, you need to, reach out to these guys. I was impressed by the individuals I met there at Pest World and the people that we met with last week. Their software is tremendous for not only earning and collecting those 5-star reviews from your client base, but it also, and you'll have to speak to them about this, to help your retention and also kind of help your employee morale all at the same time. Tremendous software. I really want to give them, a high five on what they put together. Really excited to hopefully work with them pretty soon. Responding to both negative and positive reviews. All too often, you'll see a small business respond to the positive reviews saying, thank you for, leaving your 5-star review. We can't wait to see you again. Or thank you for your loyalty to our business. But they leave the bad reviews hanging. Okay. Take those bad reviews. I'm not saying get them on purpose, obviously, but take some of those bad reviews. When you get them, respond to them as quickly as possible. Do not say you're sorry for, whatever they're complaining about. Say you're sorry to hear about it and give them an opportunity to reach out to you offline. So other people, when they're going through the reviews, they say you responded really quickly and you care about the reviews that they left, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. Okay. Another thing is to take, if you're having a consistent bad review over and over again, then your clients are telling you some areas of opportunity that maybe you have some weaknesses on. If you're getting consistently bad reviews on maybe tardiness or whatever, I'm not, um, whatever that, reason may be, take that as, okay, it's hard to hear those bad reviews, but maybe there's opportunity for your team to grow. Okay. I have to talk about some. Okay. Um, Responding to both in bad, negative reviews. Um, but yeah, I mean, you got to get the reviews and have some stats here. Again, I'm going to wait till all the stats to get through one more feature on one more topic on Google, and to really emphasize how important reviews are to your presence and to establishing new clients. Utilizing GBP features for visibility. Make sure you're updating, regular adding new photos of the team, of the equipment, showcasing services, posting regular updates. There may be some booking options that you're not taking advantage of, so you enable them for direct appointments and bookings if possible. And take a look at your insights and analytics so you track where the visitors are coming from, search queries and popular times to optimize those particular services. We're going to get into a bunch of stats right now regarding your Google, your SEO. Well, actually, just four, but Lily is putting the resource where we found these stats recently. 75% of pest control shoppers ran a search before converting. 75% of potential new pest control companies ran a search on Google before they converted, which among home services was number two. The number one was moving, which was about 82%, 83%, if I remember correctly. Did I ever answer how many impressions it takes?
Nope.
20 to 25. So we're moving it, we're trending in the right direction, but about 20 to 25 times before somebody, before that brand recognition actually sinks in. 83% of consumers did not have a company in mind for pest control when they search for your services. 83%. The opportunity is there. Absolutely. 83%. That blew me away. 86% of consumers read reviews, and 57% will only consider you if your ratings are 4 stars or above. If you got a 3.8, 3.9 versus a 4.0, 4.1, that's a massive difference in opportunity you have for that new customer. 86% read reviews. 57% will only consider you if you're 4 stars or above. The average cost per click in pest control is $38.84. The average cost per click in pest control is nearly $40. Conversion, the average conversion cost for pest control is $90, right? And the average consumer spend, once you've converted that new pest control customer, is $190. That kind of gets back to the beginning of this topic, where are you standing out that right tech for that first time visit with somebody who converted online for you, for that opportunity, one, to make a tremendous impression, but two, do they have the ability to upsell, right? Do you have the team in place, and are you communicating this to your team, to your ops manager, to send out the right person to go out there and say, hey, look, this is a new lead from Google. The average conversion is $90. We need to send an A guy out there. We can't send out, the owner's nephew who was just hired, 2 weeks ago, who's living in his sister's basement and had no job for the last couple of years. You got to send somebody out there seasoned, who knows how to build a rapport with that new customer who search for you, who you've set at the appointment, and you have that opportunity to, to set them on a regular monthly or quarterly schedule, or maybe that opportunity to upsell. Okay. I believe that your team needs to know these costs and what's at stake, and they got to send out the right people. Okay. My favorite part of the digital strategy, we're doing pretty good on time. Social media. Social media. That's what gets me up every morning. I've been in the social media aspect of this for nearly a decade. I love it because it changes every day. And there's always something new that I panic if I don't learn something new on Facebook, TikTok. I literally would start sweating if, there's something that I haven't learned out there. Okay. Let's get into the stats on social media first, and then we'll get into some strategy and some of the things that Lily and I do to kind of, give you some takeaways for today. Okay. In July of this year, there was only 5.17 billion users on social media across the platforms. 5.17 billion people worldwide use social media. 3 billion are Facebook users. Here's a stat that blew Wyatt and I away yesterday. He didn't believe me. He didn't believe me. He almost threw me out of the office. 46% of traffic to websites from social media are from what platform? If you're on right now, what platform drives 46% of the social media traffic to your websites? Not as a result from Google or search, whatever, but what platform do you believe? Good guess. Not Instagram, though. Not Instagram. 46% of social media traffic to websites is from what platform? And it's not Instagram. We're going to keep that open for a little bit. 90% of Instagram users follow at least one brand or business. TikTok, that would have been my guess. And it's not Facebook either. Starts with an L. L-I. 34% of Instagram users use it as an alternative for local business reviews, which I thought was interesting. There it is. LinkedIn. Oh, Wyatt put that in there. Oh, Lily put that in there. LinkedIn is accountable for 46% of the social media traffic to your website. So I thought that was remarkable. Again, 34% of Instagram users use it as an alternative for local business reviews, which is interesting. TikTok, coincidentally, 23% of users use it as an alternative for local business reviews. Interesting. TikTok has 1 billion users, by the way. 55% of TikTok users use it to learn or find new things. That's what people are trying to sell you something. Exactly. And 8.2 there's 8.2 new users on social media every second. We've been on for a half an hour. If you think about how many new social media users have been on that started just in this last half hour worldwide, 8 new users every second on social media. And that is unreal. So how do you know what to choose the right platforms? I don't know if they're on, but remember the two guys that we met, they're actually from Phoenix, Wyatt. Their only online strategy was through Facebook and Instagram. They only did videos. They got great personalities. They did some funny videos, some very educational videos. No, it wasn't them. No. But and that's the only, they had a website, of course.
Nice guys.
Great guys, very personable. They had some funny videos, but they also were very educational videos along pest control and how to avoid pests in your area, whatever. But another strategy that they did, aside from just doing, and these were not one paid, ad.
They're actually on.
Are they on?
Yeah, they were nice Pest.
Are they? Okay, great to see you guys. And
Travis.
They're in Phoenix. Tremendous guys. Their videos are awesome. You got to check them out. I was super impressed by them. That's the way to do it. I stated everything correctly there, right, Travis? It's just all social media. I don't believe you guys do any Google ad spam or anything like that. So you can't be done. one, one thing that I would never be able to pull that off. They're two good looking dudes and they're funny, and I couldn't do that anymore. Maybe 20 years ago I didn't do that.
All organic.
Yeah, all organic. They didn't do any paid advertising. So tremendous. I'm not going to give away all the secret sauce. If you want to hear more of their secret sauce, hit them up directly. Um, okay, so how do you know what platforms? Facebook and Instagram, obviously for community engagement, visual storytelling. I love running Facebook ads. I think Lily and I do a tremendous job. Our cost per click, no matter what industry we have served, and especially in the home services, typically is over $1. We'll have to find that resource after this, Lily. It's typically over $1. We're very good at getting those costs per click at less than half of industry standards, right? One of the things that we do, and this is, if you learn anything from this presentation today, marketing is all about testing. Never assume that you have the right video, the right images, the perfect headline, and just run one ad. Okay. If you learn anything and want to dive into anything today, in my opinion, learn all about meta business and how to run really good ads. Okay. If you want to schedule a time with me, I'll put in my email in at the end of the session, right? But we run 5, 6, 7, sometimes 8 visuals, meaning images and or videos with 5, 6, 7 different headlines and 5 or 6 different ad copies. With Facebook, you're able to Facebook will run all those together and mix and match them to find out which of those combinations of those images or videos, headlines, and ad copies are most efficient for you. And after a few days, you'll see which one of those are performing very well and which ones are kind of clunkers. You could turn the clunkers off and run to maximize whatever combination you gave to your potential new, customer base. They'll see those ads, and you'll see the cost per click get more and more efficient as you run them. Longer and longer you get, because Facebook is learning more about your potential customer base. Okay. If you've ever watched the movie Social Dilemma, Facebook has 1 million data points on everybody that's on Facebook. Facebook has a better idea what you're going to be up to this weekend than we do. Okay. I know it's creepy. I know it's, that there is, the negatives to it on the personal side, but from a marketing perspective, again, just my humble opinion, there's no better way to reach new customers than Facebook and Instagram, right? I'm very biased. I've been in social media marketing for nearly a decade, but we're very good at finding that audience, honing in on the audience, creating lookalike audiences, learn how to put a pixel, which is a bit of code on your website, so you could retarget those people over, create lookalike audiences, and you'd be very efficient in running Facebook ads and Instagram ads. Right now, through the end of the year, though, it's going to be a little more expensive. I would wait till January because of all the Black Friday and the holiday ads that are running. Get your ads together, get some ideas together from now through the end of the year, and start those ads in January. And again, if you need any help, any direction, you can hit me up, and I'll put my email address at the end of this presentation. LinkedIn professional connections. If you're big, oh, LinkedIn ads are pretty good. They're very concise. The learning on that is not as lengthy because you're targeting people specifically to their position in the company. You could target specific companies. It kind of goes straight to your potential end consumer. However, they're very expensive. You need to set aside a big budget. In some LinkedIn ads, you got to run them for at least $40 a day. Where I think you'd be just effective running Facebook ads for $300 to $500 a month. $40 a day on LinkedIn is pretty steep. So I love LinkedIn ads. Don't get me wrong. They have the same opportunities to run multiple, images or videos or headlines and all that. But it is pretty expensive though. TikTok and YouTube Shorts. I love TikTok. A couple years ago, I despised it. But if you know how to put together a good you could build a huge, tremendous local following organically on TikTok, and the same with YouTube Shorts. What I love about these types of videos is that you could use one, repurpose it for YouTube Shorts, again, build up that local community, and the amount of views you can get on both of those platforms if you start hitting home runs are tremendous. We do some work here for animal experts, and Lily set up a TikTok account. What are some of the big amount of views we're getting for animal experts
On
on
TikTok?
TikTok? Yeah,
One of the recent ones has like 500,000.
500,000 views on TikTok. So not too bad, not too bad. Um, TikTok is great for showcasing, tips, day in the life type of content. Trending audio can also increase visibility. YouTube Shorts allows for you to repurpose TikTok content, enhance searchability on YouTube, which will benefit you with Google's content and whatnot. I need a drink of water real quick. Content strategies for pest control as we get a little, what type of content are you going to put down out there on your social media? Just straight following Gary Vaynerchuk's strategy, value and information, and maybe 10 or 20% of the time ask for the sale, right? Don't be afraid to also show your personality. Don't be afraid to show the behind the scenes, celebrate your employees' anniversaries, celebrate their birthdays, celebrate milestones with the company, really establish that local community presence. Customer testimonials, use some of your 5-star reviews, go to Canva. I think we have a link to Canva. Find something, brand it, use your logo on there, and highlight some of your best testimonials. Maybe post them a couple of times a month. Behind the scenes, humanize your brand with photos, text, vehicles, tools, etc. Right? I think one of the biggest mistakes, the biggest missed opportunities that whether it's pest control or any industry is that we missed the opportunity to highlight you, highlight your employees. A lot of the employees are going to say, "I don't want my photo on there." Tell them, if they're adamant about it, then respect it. But they love being highlighted. They love being celebrated on social media. Um, Engagement and community building, right? Respond timely to every comment, every question. Don't just leave those messages kind of hanging there. It shows that you're not engaged with your audience on social. Running Q&A sessions on social media is great. Collaborating with other businesses. That's something that the guys that we talked about do a tremendous job in their collaborations in their community. Scheduling tools. If you have somebody internally that's in charge of your social media, are they using scheduling tools that are easy to learn? We've used Hootsuite, Hey Orca. I think we're going to put those links there in the chat. Those are very intuitive. They're real easy to learn. And Hey Orca, if you or it's pretty inexpensive if you're just using your company to do that. Hootsuite, I think there's a free version, I believe. I don't know if it's still free or not. If you just have a few platforms that you want to schedule out your content. I always, when business owners insist on doing social media themselves or having somebody internally do it, I always advise to have that person set one day, a month to schedule out the whole, content for the next month. That way they're kind of in tune, they're focused on it, and they could schedule out all the content. Again, kind of use Gary Vaynerchuk's, approach to it, provide value, provide information, community stuff, and every once in a while, remember to ask for the sale. Um, Paid advertising, we talked about that. Targeted ads, boosted posts. I'm not a big fan of boosting posts. You could be a lot more efficient with your advertising dollars if you just take the time, go through Meta Business Suite, and run that post that did well as an ad, opposed to just boosting it. Retargeting strategies, you talked about that. Make sure you have your pixel on. It's a piece of code that takes your website guide 20 seconds to put on, so you can retarget the people who visited your website and visited your social media. Again, going back to how many impressions it takes before somebody realizes what you do before they call you. You want to be in front of their face all the time. Okay, you're not just you're not just competing with other local pest control companies. You're competing with everybody. There's a lot of noise out there, and you got to remember that at the end of the day, what your job to do when it comes to your digital marketing strategy is to get people's thumb to stop, essentially on their phones. We are on our phones. The average American is on his phone at least 6 hours a day and about 2.5 hours, I believe. Is that right, Lily? 2.5 hours on social media. Your job or your digital strategy, whether it's, Google search, social media, whatever that is really to get the people's thumb to stop on your ad or your post and to dive deeper into who you're about and to give you a call. That's it. To get people's attention. That's what you're doing because all of our attention is on our mobile devices. Good, bad, or indifferent. It is what it is, right? The last section, and we got about 20 minutes here. The last section is a doozy. I love podcasts, right? I love podcasts. I love doing these type of presentations. So in talking about these type of presentations and or podcasting, what are we going to do with this content, this video, this afternoon? We're going to take this, we're going to upload it to YouTube. We're going to put it through a tool called opus.com, I believe it is. Are we putting that in there? And in about 12 to 15 minutes, after putting the keywords in of what we talked about during this presentation, Opus is going to have 15 to 20 to 25 different clips or little trailers that we can use to put across all of the Swarm social media. If you're not doing that yourself, you're missing out on a huge opportunity. Set up a podcast for your business. You can talk about local community. You can have other small business owners out there. If you want to talk about home maintenance, have other home services that come in and be on your podcast. Provide value and information for your community through this podcast. If you want to make it fun, you want to make it entertaining, do it. Invest in doing so because you're going to have a 20 to 30, maybe a 40-minute podcast, maybe a couple times a month. But all that content that you're going to get as a result from that is going to help you with you across all your social media platforms and build up yourself as a leader in the community and your industry all at once, right? The reason I do my radio show, which is about entrepreneurship and small business, is what I do with that video from that live radio show. I turn that into a podcast, which I place on YouTube and Spotify, and I break up all the video, and I have content that, I have almost too much content to even take the time to post. And I take that and position myself as a local marketer, the go-to resource for that. Do that for your pest control company. Just over here to my right is we have a podcast room in there. Wyatt came up with some genius ideas of getting old used iPhones to use them as our cameras. We found some good, podcast equipment, found the right type of software, and it was really minimal investment. Our COO says it was too much, but it was the return on investment was tremendous for us, right? You can engage in a broader audience, let your personalities come out, education, expertise, and repurposing that content is what I talked about just right now. That podcast can give you a ton of content. You could use some of that content and maybe place definitely on a YouTube channel for yourself. But we've also done video where for clients, like an FAQ type of video, where we use that for people's websites as well. Instead of kind of the written content, we put FAQ videos and FAQ section on their website as well. So we talk about Opus. That is, I wrapped up everything. So if you have any questions, what was that?
Fake podcast clip.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we saw this article just this week. Fake podcast clips. Genius. Where you set it up as if you're kind of looking and you have a little mic right here, like about this mic, and it looks as if you're on a podcast and you're talking about some of your hot industry topics. You're talking about your community, whatever that is. Kind of set that up to where your background is really cool. You got this cool little mic right here, and you pretend as if you're talking to the host of the podcast, but it's really just a fake podcast. 9 out of 10 times, people have no idea that it's a fake podcast. They're going to think you're on a real podcast, but all you're doing is addressing some of the local hot topics or some of the local industry, FAQs. But it looks as if you're a special guest on a podcast, really. And you put that resource there to look more into that, Lily. Yeah, we're definitely going to do that. Any questions? Anything that we can address while we have everybody on right now?
Hey, Shawn, I've got a question.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much you guys do with social media advertising, but what have you seen works the best for ad creatives on like Facebook, Instagram, all those different platforms? Like what copy works the best? What images work the best? Are you using videos at all?
Video, more times than not, Danny, is going to be the best opportunity for you. Video is king of content right now, right? The trick is to create an engaging video. Okay. Again, what we do is we'll create, maybe 2 or 3 videos, but we also use images as well, right? We load all that up in the Meta Business, and we're creating a Facebook ad. And, we're assuming that you have not only a business Facebook page, but it's also linked to your Instagram page as well. Got to make sure that it's formatted well. Typically, the portrait mode is going to look best. So it works well both on Facebook and on Instagram. It's going to work well on, stories and reels and across the whole gamut, right? Typically, it's going to be a video. And again, we come up, and quite frankly, we'll use ChatGPT to come up with a bunch of different headlines for us, and we'll pick out the best ones. We'll fine tune if necessary. Facebook also will provide an option where if you put a couple different ad copies in there, Facebook's AI will recommend some alternative ad copies to use as well. You could utilize, I believe it's up to 6 or 7 different ad copies with 4 or 5 different headlines and multiple different images and ad images to run and test just multiple, 50, 60 different variations of your ads. One ad that we saw was it earlier this year? They went totally across the grain, and their ad image was just a black box with white copy on it. It looked very old school, but it really stood out amongst everything else in the feed. It went from being, hyper, visual to the opposite, where it was just black with white copy on it. So it's one of those things you just got to test out. I've seen some ads that really pop, and it's just black with yellow copy on the ad itself. But more times than not, video is going to be the best. Video that features you, video that features, the ownership or leadership of your pest control company. I would recommend trying one of those out. I know that the downside of featuring ownership too much is what if that owner's looking to buy and they don't want to be kind of tied into, I'm looking to sell, I'm sorry, and they don't want to be tied in too long for being the face of the company, So I kind of understand that downside as well. But thanks, Danny.
Awesome. If you don't mind, a quick follow-up question to that is, when you're running something like Facebook ads, is it more for brand awareness or is it more for conversions?
Tremendous question, and thank you for bringing that up. Say you're running, $1,000 of ads a month, right? Typically, what we do is we'll use 20% of that of your ad spend every month for brand awareness. Brand awareness ads are very, very cheap on Facebook and Instagram. You could reach thousands, and the purpose of brand awareness is not as a high frequency, meaning that everybody that we reach on the brand awareness ads is going to see that ad multiple times. After 3, 4, 5 months, we want a frequency of people seeing those ads, 7, 8, 9 times. So maybe we reach 100,000 people, but we've made 700,000 impressions, and the frequency is 7, right? Whatever that is, right? Brand awareness, about 20%, very, very cheap to accomplish that. then that other 80% we'll use for more of that ROI specific, campaign, the traffic campaign, where we're driving people to either call or as effective or even more cost effective is we're driving people to a very, very effective landing page that has big multiple opportunities of call to action on there or fill the form out, whatever that is. But great question. 20% brand awareness, the other 80% traffic campaign on Facebook. And when you're creating these, the first option is do you want to run a brand awareness or do you want to run the traffic or any other type of, they have multiple types of objections and what you want to accomplish. But 99% of the time, what we're doing is brand awareness and traffic.
Somebody
Awesome. Thank you.
and said, do I have to use Swarm Marketing Services
No.
to be a part of the mastermind?
No, not at all. Not at all. Being part of the mastermind is independent. There's a lot of, if you have a tremendous rapport and relationship with your current digital marketing or marketing agency, by all means, continue to work with them. The mastermind, and if Wyatt, you want to chime in on this a little bit more, is another benefit that Swarm wants to offer like-minded people who want to grow. Wyatt's vision for this is to take 30 PCOs to 200 million in 2025. The mastermind is a tremendous opportunity for you to be peer-to-peer, talk about, some of the things the pains and that you're going through and work with other people that kind of get over the hump, so to speak.
Okay, we had a question for a company that is new to digital marketing and hasn't really started implementing any strategy. Where would you recommend starting?
Various types of answers, and I'm always going to say, and take the two gentlemen from Phoenix, that most of their efforts are going into Facebook and Instagram, right? To me, that's, again, I'm very, very biased. Obviously you need to have a optimized Google business profile. You need to have a website that looks good. But if you're going to put efforts, in my opinion, and you're just barely getting started, social media is the easiest way to build up a following, build up a presence, and you could do it organically. Again, the two gentlemen in Phoenix have done this with no ad spend at all. Make sure you're paying attention to it when you get comments or questions or messages to respond to them very, very quickly. But that's an opportunity for you to position yourself as a leader in your community and a leader in the industry. In my opinion, there are, I get this question all the time: is how often should I post? Post every day. If you have something that's of good value and information, post every day. Just do it. Anything else?
Yes. It says, what are some good podcasting softwares for people just starting out?
What's the software do we use?
Switcher Studio.
Switcher Studio. Yeah. Switcher Studio is it, but it's Apple specific, right? Apple product specific. I know another one that I used was, I'm forgetting the name of it.
StreamYard?
Yeah, StreamYard was pretty cool. Very easy to use as well. And you could use that across any type of device that you're using. But why don't we go ahead and put our contact information, Lily? And again, if you guys have any questions or comments or want to follow the things that we spoke about, feel free to reach out either to Lily or I or myself. We'll put Wyatt's email in there as well. Get a chance. Tomorrow, you got to tune in. Building a 5-star culture in your PCO with Greg Weatherly, who's had 31 years of experience. He was general manager he was the general manager. Yeah, he ran all the branches here in Southern Arizona for Truly Nolan. So Greg is a tremendous dude, and he's ready to go for tomorrow. So again, we appreciate everybody. If you have any questions about the mastermind, feel free to reach out to Wyatt or myself or even Lily, and we'll get those answered for you as quickly as possible. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.